All right. I started a new one. Can you go over there and see if I got volume?
It's not letting me. It's the same old one.
All right. Okay, somebody's in here. If you can hear me, let me know.
Yep.
All right. I don't know. I don't know why I'm having so much trouble with that.
Well, you're on now.
No, I understand. Yeah. Okay, well, I guess I figured out my volume problem. I'm back on, and I'm Chicken Johnny, and today we're going to talk just a little bit about insects, beneficial insects in the garden. And I'm not going to get very deep into it. We might go a little short today if we get some conversation. John, is Gail lurking? You can't hear me? So first, when you look at beneficial insects, you can break them into two categories. The first category is pollinators, and then the second category is parasitic insects. And pollinators fall into, well, John says I've got no sound. It seems like I've got sound here. Do you have sound?
Yes, I can hear it.
John, it might be something. Okay, Cajun says he can hear me. John is maybe pulling my leg. That's okay. So you break beneficial insects into pollinators and parasitic insects. And by parasitic, I mean those insects that will kill the predatory insects. Yeah, I think John is giving me a hard time because
You
I'm
said turn your sound off.
I'm running a lawsuit against them. But the parasitic insects, or rather the beneficial insects, you know, things like mason bees, bumblebees. Bumblebees are actually probably 10 to 15 times better than a honeybee. Honeybee are not indigenous to our area, and so they don't thrive in our area. And Simply Jan, welcome to the live. And so although honeybees can be beneficial in your garden, any hive keeper will tell you that there are a lot of challenges to keeping honeybees. So one of the things that you can do is you can create a mason bee hive, and you'll find that the mason bees will come and they will find your hive. So the way you make a mason bee hive, you can take a piece of log or a stump and drill dozens of about 1/4 inch holes, maybe 5 to 6 inches deep into that stump. And then the mason bees will find those and they'll fill those holes up with their larvae, and they'll feed on your plants, and therefore, or not feed on your plants, but as they collect pollen and so forth from your plants, they'll pollinate all of your plants. Mason bees are indigenous to our area, so once you get a hive going, it will stay going for, you know, a long, long time. Same thing with bumblebees. Now, we have a lot of bumblebees by us. In fact, I had quite a few bumblebees following me around today. And I've started some mason bee hives. Now, I bought, or actually Mama bought, a mason bee hive at Walmart. It's a box with a series of cardboard tubes in it, and the mason bees will fill up those cardboard tubes, and then you can take them out and clean them, or you can replace them. I checked yesterday, and I've got about 17 of the cardboard tubes are filled, and so I'm hoping that they will hatch out, and I'll have plenty of mason bees. My next door neighbor, who's less than a mile from me, has got honeybees, but he has challenges keeping them alive. So I'm not sure how they're doing this year, whether we've got good bees or not. Danny from Cajun Hydroponics, I saw you come in. I don't think I said hi. Please, hello. Jesus is Lord, hello. I know I said hi to Jan, and I know I said hi to Willet Grow. So just trying to keep up. So some of the other beneficials that you can have in your garden are parasitic beneficials. And for us in our area, parasitic wasps, and there's about 9 different varieties in our area. The parasitic wasps will come in and they will destroy your hornworms on your tomato hornworms. Also, there's something called a oh, now I can't think of it, but it's an army bug or something like that, soldier bug. And then the one that I see quite a bit is praying mantises. Praying mantises will eat aphids, and they'll eat a lot of the nematodes that work kind of in the shallow part of the surface. Although most nematodes are good, your root knot nematodes are bad. There's some other things that the praying mantises eat. Ladybugs, or as they call them down in Australia, ladybirds. Technically, I guess they're called lady beetles. I just saw that today, but they're very beneficial. They will eat the eggs of Colorado potato bugs. I've seen them doing it. And so they're pretty desirable to have in the field, along with many other things. So that leads me to this, and that is that when you go to spray insecticides, you want to try not to kill, especially your pollinators, you want to try not to kill them. And this is why you want to stick with systemic insecticides like BT and imidacloprid. And there are a few others. 7. 7 is not really systemic, but if you put it on as a powder, it will not, it doesn't affect the honeybees and the parasitic wasps. It'll only affect the things that actually chew and gnaw on the leaves. So, yeah, Jan says praying mantises are awesome. They get huge. I mean, I've seen them 6-7 inches long, and you can go your whole life and never see a praying mantis. But if you've got a garden and you're paying attention and you're going in and weeding the garden, you're going to find these praying mantises. As a rule, anything that looks like an inchworm needs to go. Almost all of your worm-like leaf crawlers are going to chew on the leaves, and so they need to go. But my experience this year with the potato bugs, we saw some adult potato bugs. I waited until I saw larvae. Once I saw the pupae, rather, which is just past the larvae stage, I sprayed, and I have not seen any pupae since then. I've found some eggs and I've seen some adult bugs, but I do scout my potatoes. Well, right now I'm doing them every other day just because things have gotten really busy, but we try to do it every day. We still have not gotten any rain, so it's almost to the point where, John, I'm ignoring you because if you can't hear me, you don't know what I'm saying. So maybe I should just do a lot of counting. But we're almost getting to the point where you have to start deciding whether you're going to continue to water. I've been watering. Right now I've got water going on my squash. Um, but at a certain point, by watering, I'm still not getting enough water into the field because we're having temperatures in the 90s. So the field's getting dried out. And I've got to move my water feed from section to section. I've got 5 manifolds right now. So I get 3 of them one day, 2 of them the next day, go back to the 3 the earlier day, and then I'm watering the hoop house twice a day. And I've still got a few things in the greenhouse or in the, yeah, it's not really a greenhouse because I don't have heat in there, but underneath my polytunnel on the trailer, I still have to go in and water that 2 or 3 times a day. So I'm starting to ask myself, at what point will my well run dry? And I've only got a 35-foot deep well, so I don't want to run it dry. Hello, Joe. How are you? Well, Joe, you're not really 8 minutes late because I had to stop and start again just because I don't understand how to work a microphone, I guess. So I did finally get it sorted out. But it's good to see you, Joe. You know, you have to start to wonder, you're paying to run the well pump and you're pumping the water out on the field. At some point, is it going to be too expensive to water? Now, the farms around me are all field corn, and they're coming to the point where if they don't get rain, the corn is going to make it for a while. It'll still continue to grow because it's small enough that it doesn't need that much water. But my sweet corn, which I planted 2 weeks after the field corn, my sweet corn is actually taller than the field corn because the field corn hasn't gotten water, so it's held back, whereas my sweet corn has gotten water, so it's growing. My concern is now I've caught the sweet corn up to the point where it's going to tassel at the same time as the field corn. So, so John figured out it was on his end. So, all right. But the other problem is that in a drought, the field corn, the roots go deeper than they normally would, and they begin to pull toxins up from the soil, and these are called aflatoxins. It's not from man-made herbicides or pesticides or anything like that. Aflatoxins are just, it's a result of the roots of the corn going very deep and pulling up from below the surface that they normally do. They get into material that is anaerobic, and it causes a higher level of aflatoxin in the corn. Well, in our area right here, we're about our 5th week without any rain at all. There was rain a mile to the north of us. There was rain a mile and a half to the south of us. But in this little 2 or 2.5 mile strip, we have gotten nothing but a couple of little drops. So this is the concern that the field corn farmers are dealing with. Now, soybean should be fine. In fact, the soybean looks great. Even the corn looks great. It's not getting yellow or anything like that. So it's doing fine, except that the roots are getting awfully deep, and that means that we might have that aflatoxin problem. The other thing is, if we don't get rain soon, the roots aren't going to be able to get deep enough. The ditch across the street from us usually has about 5 feet of running water in it, and it is essentially dry, and there's no water coming out of the fields right now. The drain tile is completely unnecessary this year. So anyway, those are some of the things we're dealing with. The potatoes are better than they've been any year that I've grown potatoes. We have very tall, bushy potatoes. I have been watering them, so It's not the drought that's made them good. I've been able to keep the potato bugs down from what I can see so far. I've found some, but I haven't found any real leaf damage, so I'm going to stay on top of that. The onions are not doing well at all. The onions need water, and it's hard to get enough water on onions because they're a very shallow root. They need to be watered more regularly than the potatoes, and it doesn't really do you all that much good to water them deep because the roots don't really go deep. And then the other problem is the bulbs sit up towards the top, and they are going into their bulbing phase pretty soon here. Another week and a half, I think. I don't remember exactly when the longest day of the year is, but I think it's in the early part of July. So we're looking at them going into the bulbing phase, and then we're really going to need to get water on them. Now weeds, the drought doesn't seem to bother them. We've got the red root amaranth just came into its season, and it's just incredible. You look at the field kind of from the side, and the field looks red because the underside of those leaves are red. And the other, June, it's June 20th. So we are 3 days away from the longest day. And after that, that's when your onions will start to bulb, is right after the longest day of the season. So we'll put one more this Saturday, and I'm a little late doing it, I suppose, but I'll put one more course of fertilizer on the onions. I'll side dress them with a 15-15-15. I do about a cup in 10 feet. I do it right down the center between the two onion sets, our onion plants. Theoretically, those are 8 inches apart, so you're side dressing them about 4 inches apart. And so after the 20th, then I won't put any more nitrogen on. I'll put just potassium and phosphorus, and I don't really think I need to worry about it too much because there's plenty of calcium in the soil, but the fertilizer that I'm going to use has a little bit of calcium added, and there's some boron in it as well. I don't think the onions care about the boron, but the beets need the boron, so that's why I have that. Jan says her onions have already started to bulb. Mine have started to fatten up like a green onion, but they haven't really bulbed yet. John said he gave his last shot on Monday with 2100. And so that's great for green onions because you're going to get really good, strong leaves on there. But thumbs up for you. Okay, Homestead Aquarius is driving, but he's going to listen. So, Robert, I don't have a great deal to say today. I'm just kind of talking general garden thoughts. One of the things this year is we've been fighting the weeds a lot, and now the ground has gotten so dry, the little weeds come up really easy. But if you've let any weeds get long, and they've got any kind of a root structure, it's really difficult to get them out. So I try to water that lane before I go in and try and weed it. Now, I was trying to rescue some beets today. I've got very poor germination on beets this year. Carrots have done fairly well, but beets did miserably. I've got probably 20% germination, but it's because you just can't get enough water. The problem is that the drip tape is planted 4 inches deep. And so when you irrigate with drip tape, the water is going to go to the surface. It's going to hydro, it's going to it's going to get sucked up to the surface by capillary action, or if you're from Canada, capillary action. But it's also gravity is going to pull it down into the soil. So until the roots get to that 4-inch level, the drip tape doesn't do them that much good. The problem is I have no way of putting water on top of the field anymore. I've got some sprinklers, but I just don't have the ability to keep those sprinklers moving. I have to leave and go to work. So last year I was home more because of the COVID, and we were moving the sprinklers quite a bit during the day. We were doing a lot of cultivating. So it's a little tougher this year. But I think we probably will cancel. Normally we'll have one sale in June, last weekend in June. We're not going to go to that. We didn't last year either because flooding pushed us pretty far off in our planting. I don't think we'll probably make it to a market till August. That's my guess right now. And I'm gone the first week of August, so it'll probably be the second week of August. My cabbage is doing extremely well. My broccoli all dried off. It didn't transplant well, so I've got another stock of broccoli that's going to go in, and we'll have broccoli by August, I would think. So I'm just trying to catch up on the chat, but nobody's really talking to me, so okay. Well, the pumpkins are doing real well, and I have a couple of Hubbard squash that made it. My beans are phenomenal, but they're in an area, the beans and the kale are in an area where they get a little bit more shade in the afternoon. That's where we planted our asparagus as well, and I think that little bit of added shade is helpful for some of those plants. We get about 5 hours more sun here. It's not as hot, but we get a 5 hours more sunlight than you would down south. So, you know, the days are longer, so that afternoon shade helps on some plants. I think our asparagus is probably 4 times what it was last year. Our rhubarb, we got 2 of the 5 rhubarb plants made it. I've struggled terribly with rhubarb. I know everybody says it's an easy thing to grow. Hasn't been for me. But now we have 2 plants. I'll probably dig one up next year and divide it and leave the other one as a large plant. And then maybe next year I'll dig that one up and divide it next fall. So will it grow? Leave Robert alone. He may be my next captain. We'll see. We'll see how this works out with Bunky. I have not been able to put any videos up the last week or so. There's just been way too much going on. So actually, I just started thinking about this the other day. I don't think I put up any videos in June, so I'm going to have to get my Shed Wars 21 videos up. Because I don't think my Bunky versus Will It Grow videos, I haven't even put them on Shed Wars 21. I've just been putting them up for people to see. So last week I got an interesting comment in the comment section. Somebody rewatched the live, and they didn't criticize. They didn't. It's my 3rd week on these new teeth, and I'm having a hard time. They didn't criticize me, but they said something that was kind of almost an insult about they made the comment that they were 100% organic and they wanted all pesticides banned. So I went to their site and realized they had no content whatsoever on their site. So I said, well, you know, I'm excited. I'm waiting to see how you're able to handle the insects without any insecticides and how you're able to handle weeds without any pesticides. Really looking forward to your content. And I went back to look at it 2 hours later and their comment was gone. So I think there's some people that just they just post stuff and they don't really stand behind it or have any reality behind it. So that may not be true. Hopefully this person will post some stuff and teach me how to keep my potato plants alive without using any kind of insecticide. Now I know if I had maybe 100 plants, I could probably just squish all the bugs, knock them off, just take care of them that way. But I probably have somewhere in the neighborhood of 3,200 plants because each row is 200 feet long. We planted them about 8 inches apart. Some of them didn't germinate. Most of them did. I have one row that's kind of small and less germination, but they're doing really well. But those potato bugs could take them out in a month entirely. So yeah, we don't, right now, we're not dark until 9 o'clock, but we have sunlight at 4:30. I mean, 4:30 in the morning, it's, you know, it's still not quite full sun, but if the drapes aren't pulled, you know, the sunlight will wake us up. I get up at 4:30 quite a bit anyway, but yeah, it gets light here at 4:30, something like that. Jesus the Lord said, haters are going to hate, trolls are going to troll. You're right. And I know that, but you know, I got a couple of thumbs down last Saturday. I did a live over at Believe on the Crosses site, and I got a couple of thumbs down. And you know, it doesn't, on this site, it didn't hurt my feelings because I think there were 1 or 2 people who were doing that just to be funny, and I didn't even pay attention to it. But on that site, it kind of, I don't know, I paid attention a little bit to it, but I got over it. Yeah, you know, John, you're probably right. It might be 5 o'clock, because you get the sun before I do. Oh, but you're an hour ahead of us, so your 5 o'clock is my 4 o'clock. So that'd be just about right. Yeah, I'm not gonna sweat it. I just saw it and kind of, for a moment, well, I cried, you know, a little. No. Yeah. I'm just looking to the chat here. So so one of the things that we might do because of this drought, if we can't get to market, we're going to have to, I'm fixing to get some pickles here in 2 weeks, you know, some cucumbers, and I may just start making pickles and putting them up for the summer, you know, for the winter. And, you know, the beets that I stored last year in the wood chips, they are still perfectly fine. I don't think they have quite as much flavor and they may have gotten a little bit grainy, but they're perfectly edible. They're still better than anything I bought at the store. So, so here's what Homestead Aquarius says. Popping up on the surface for a second, people are often waiting for a chance to be negative. Organic methods are fantastic, but you can't do much of it on a large plot. So something else, John, I'll get you in a minute. There's something else, and that is when you have, so my potatoes, like I say, they're 200 feet long, and there's 8 rows. So that works out to be somewhere around, it's a little over 5 foot apart per row. So it ends up being, well, not quite. So it ends up being about 40 feet, little 35 to 40 feet. When potato bugs are coming across in the stratosphere and they are looking for something to munch on, and they do, they fly. They're very slow to move, so they don't fly away from you when you go to grab them. That's one good thing. But I don't know if they fly on the wind or if they actually fly on their own, but they come across and they land on your plants. And if you've got 10 or 15 plants, they may not even bother with them. They may not even see them. But when they see a big smorgasbord, they come down, they lay their eggs, and those same potato bugs will go after your eggplant. Now, I don't think they go after peppers, and I don't think that they go after tomatoes, even though both of those are nightshades, but they definitely do go after the eggplant. So, yeah, so Joe, as I understand it, as the Earth shifts on its axis for the summer, we end up being not closer to the sun, so we don't get the heat, but we're exposed to the sun for a longer period of time. Will It Grow said he killed, and I assume he's talking about his potato bugs, he killed them all by hand. I probably, last year I probably did 4,000, 5,000 by hand. I don't even know. I was out there for hours, and finally I said, well, I had already sprayed them with dormant oil or neem oil rather, and I had tried BT, and I had used spinosad, and none of that did anything. But the imidacloprid, which is a neonicotinoid, it seems to have killed that whole generation. Now, the imidacloprid will stay, it's systemic, it goes into the plant, it will stay in the plant for 2 weeks. So at the end of 2 weeks, you'll have another generation of potato bugs that hatch out. You have to spray it again. Now, I use the lowest quantity of imidacloprid that is still registered. So using below the listed amount is not only bad, it's actually illegal, because you have to use herbicides and insecticides according to their label. If you use it at too low, you'll get a resistant strain of the potato bug. If you use it at too high a dosage, it can cause even bigger problems. So I used it at the lowest listed dosage, and I calibrated my my spray tank. I did my potatoes, my cabbage, my beets, my beans. You can only do beets once because you have to have 60 days on beets. Actually, that's not true on imidacloprid. I'd have to double check that. That was true on the grass killer that I used, which, by the way, was very ineffective. And I think that's because we haven't gotten enough rain. But the imidacloprid seemed to do it. I just can't, you figure 1,600 feet with a plant every 8 inches, and my plants are about 2 feet tall right now and probably 18 inches wide. Some of them are much smaller, but that would be the biggest ones, and I would say that's the average size. And it's hard to find them all. I found a lot of eggs. I found a lot of adult bugs this year. Even probably killed 100 adult bugs. I probably killed 50 of the larvae because when I saw them, I killed them, and I've squished hundreds of eggs. But I don't trust that. I still want to use the imidacloprid. I got so badly slammed last year. Robert, you take care. And John is always good for something. John is saying that my pepper is small.
No, Joe wants to know how the single challenge.
Oh. Yeah, I didn't do a single seed challenge, but I did do peppers from the grocery store, and I planted those a little bit later than my other peppers, so they have not gone into the field yet. They're still pretty small. And my strawberries from the grocery store were a total loss. I didn't get a single strawberry out of them. I've gotten some out of some seeds that I planted, but none from the grocery store strawberries that I planted. So Jan was saying that she uses Ortho. My dad used to use Ortho. Now I don't know this from experience, but according to the Grower's Guide, the Midwest Grower's Guide, Ortho has no effect on, or the Ortho insecticide has no effect on potato bugs. But here again, I think timing has a lot to do with that as well. Abby's Life on the Farm, welcome. Jan, when you use Ortho, do you use the liquid or do you use the dust? When I raised roses, I used to use Ortho dust for aphids, and it worked super, but it's just difficult to apply in a large context. So I'm wondering if the liquid will work as well. My pepper was 3 inches bigger than Will It Grows last year. And I fully intend that my peppers this year will be much larger than Will It Grows. We'll see, but that's my prediction. Yeah, okay, for squash bugs. So I got to look real quick here. I think I can find it.
Abby said it was 98. Where is she at?
I don't know. Abby, where were you? What part of the country are you? I know I should know that, but we were only 8, and it was cool today compared to what it has been. No, I don't see it. I'm not going to spend a lot of time looking for it, but There's a couple insects that are really effective against squash bugs.
No, Mother Goose has not been doing a lot this year.
Mother Goose, last year she worked a lot in the garden. This year she has not been able to. So, so we'll see. I planted about 40 banana peppers, about 60 gypsy peppers, probably half a dozen poblanos, half a dozen green bells, half a dozen red bells, and my secret weapon pepper. It's going to be a big one. Steve, hello. Hey, Steve, so you always ask about it, so I'll give you the update or a little bit. I've been waiting for a couple of trees to come down. Those came down on Tuesday, and I am going to put the plastic on the greenhouse probably starting on Sunday. I probably won't put the main piece of plastic on until we get a really calm day. And I need two things have to happen. I need to have it calm, and I need to have several people to help. I need probably 6 people. Last time I think we did it with 6. We could probably do it with 4, but it'd be awful tough. But I think we're going to get that plastic on soon here. And mainly because I think it'll help. I'm going to put shade cloth on right away, because even without the plastic on, it gets very hot in there. So I'm going to put some shade cloth on it right away. That should also help it in the wind. But I would like to trap some of the humidity in there. I'm watering way too much. Yeah, it'll be exciting. Hopefully we'll think to video the whole thing. This year I haven't done as many videos. It's been a struggle to even get out and do anything. So kind of a challenge. Jan, you're being threatened, huh? So, all right. What else is going on in the garden? The garlic is going to come out pretty soon. I pulled one. Clove is really small. We put some bone meal and some blood meal. So that's potassium and phosphorus. We put that on. Hopefully that'll help with the bulbing. And hopefully they'll grow. But again, with the drought, the garlic's all kind of turning yellowy and straw-like. So we've been watering, but that's about it. So Steve, did you get any of that rain that came through in the last 4 or 5 days, or did it miss you as well? Because every rain that has happened in McHenry County has missed me. So, well, good. I'm glad you got some rain. I don't really know. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep watering for right now, but like I said, I am afraid if I keep watering, I'm going to run my well dry, and I don't really want to do that. So, you know, it's funny. This year we got a Shedwards marshal, a Shedwards sheriff, a Shedwards deputy. Shed Wars lawyer, prosecutor, whatever I am, I don't know. We've got the judges. This thing's really getting going. Well, thank you, Abby. Today I'm just kind of going with the flow. Yeah, Steve, we've got a lot to water, and also I've only got a 35-foot well. I've got another well that I dug in the back with a point, and it's dry. So, but it's only about 15 feet deep, so I'm not surprised that it dried out. They are calling for rain. That's why I originally entitled this chat, Chicken Johnny, Bring on the Rain. But then I guess I didn't turn my microphone on before I came on, and I had to go off and come back on again. So, good evening, Vineyard Chicks. It's great to have you here. Well, that's all right. You can always listen to the replay. Yeah, I came in from the garden, took a shower, and went on live here. So by way of announcement, Saturday on this channel, I expect it's going to be at 7 o'clock. I am going to go live, and I am going to give a message on, do miracles happen today, and do miracles conflict with science? Those two questions will hopefully, I don't really expect that I'll answer them entirely, but I'll give you my perspective on them, give you a way of thinking about it, and maybe a little bit of insight into what Scripture says about that question. So that'll be this Saturday on this channel at, I expect it to be 7 o'clock Central. So that's, that'd be 6 o'clock Hillbilly time, right? Or is that 8 o'clock Hillbilly time? Yeah, so John's time, yeah. Will It Grow time, it'll be 8 o'clock. And Will It Grow time, that's the same as Hillbilly time. So I'm just looking here to see what I missed. So if you haven't seen the Vineyard Chicks recent video, you should go watch it. It's a great a mail call. It's a great mail call, and you get a little bit of insight into the logic of Bunky, and I think you'll enjoy it. Vineyard Chicks are on Will It Grow time. Yeah, you're on the other side of the lake, so I imagine that would put you in Will It Grow time. That's Mama Goose. She's going to pick up Lisa, my daughter, our daughter, from work. So no, Yankee time. I'm sorry, John. Yankee time is not Eastern. Yankee time is Central time. Look it up. I am not making this stuff up. It's on the internet. Yankee time is Central time. Yeah, not only does Bunky know how to count really well, she also, well, she can pick quite a good attorney. She knows the law. And John, that smoking gun that's about to come out, we have got this thing sealed up, I'm pretty sure. So, and you know, John, I noticed recently, you know, I let my wife make the decisions in our home because she does a good job of it. She's a smart lady. It allows me to do a lot of other things. I don't have to worry about all little decisions. But I would never let my wife beg someone to be kind to me. I don't know. I think you just went a little bit over the line with putting your wife in a position that she had to beg me to be nice to you. And I am nice to you, John. I am. Joe Serrano says that I'm also a hillbilly. And I will say, I'm going to have a cookie from the woman who runs my life. I'm going to eat it later, though, because with these teeth, it's not a pretty sight. Now, I'm not really a hillbilly. I live in America's tableland, and I stand out in my yard, and I can see for miles and miles and miles of flat land. In fact, so Steve is asking me when I expect that I'm going to pull my garlic. Yeah, normally I think about not mid, but early July to mid-July.
It's raining.
Oh, thank God our crops are saved. It's raining. Oh, it is raining. That's good. I do believe that this year the garlic's going to be small, and I'm very disappointed because I had a really good stand of garlic. But you know, it's amazing. You really can't. I mean, you could, but it's difficult to put as much water on the field as what the rain will put on the field. So, yeah, Jan, you don't know the half of it. I went out today with a hand hoe, and I was just hoeing out some beets, and there was a dust cloud in the air from hoeing out beets. And so I don't know. Yeah, I would think, Steve, you'll be getting it in about 20 minutes, unless we can stop it here and just let it sit right here. But okay, Vineyard Chicks, we will see you later. I'm sure I will be in communication with you soon. We can talk strategy. So some of you may know this. I don't know if it's hit the national news at all, but day before yesterday, we had a chemical plant, a petrochemical plant that caught fire, and it burned for it burned for 2 full days, and took out about, I guess it's about a 2 acres of the factory, and then it burned so hot that the trees around it, there's kind of a forest area that's sort of a containment area so that people don't have to see the plant. The trees were just bursting into flames. They weren't getting hit by sparks. They were just so hot that they'd burst into flames. We had firefighters from, I believe it was Louisiana, that came up and took charge of putting this thing out because they understand the oil wells and all of that. But, you know, I'm sure that the physical damage to the factory and to the buildings around it and to the environment, because the wind was going straight south. So none of it came by us. It all went south, but it went about 100 miles south, and they've got smoke damage for 6 or 7 miles where they're going to have to be cleaning ash up from the backyards. Fortunately, it didn't catch anything further on fire, but in that whole fire, and like I say, we're about 30 miles east of it. We could see, at one point, you could see the glow of the flames, and at night you could see the glow. It was that bad. There was only one injury, one human injury that we're aware of anyway, and that was a firefighter who got hurt going in. So it was quite an event. We could clearly see. I thought it was when I saw the smoke originally. Well, first we thought it was just clouds, and then we saw that the clouds came down to earth, and so then I thought, well, what's out that way? And I was thinking about several farms that are 2 or 3 miles away, thinking, okay, it's probably one of those farms. And then you started realizing, no, it's even further away than that. But because you could see it so well, it seemed closer. And it probably probably caused a tremendous amount of damage. And this is just me being not political, but sort of political, I guess. This is why when they start talking a lot about the global warming and everything, and they say, well, we don't want you to even have a wood stove in your house because of global warming. I just don't think it has that big of an impact. So, Tinker's wife, hello. Welcome to the live. We're actually just about to say goodnight, but it's a pleasure to have you here. Yeah, I didn't think about that, Jan, being in Texas. You probably had a lot of petrol plants around you. I don't know. It's completely out now, from what I understand. Of course, the building is a complete loss, and anybody who had a car in the parking lot, that's a loss. So I'm sure that the costs by the time it's all said and done will be many, many, many millions of dollars. So I don't know what insurance company is going to get stuck with that bill, but I'm sure that's what it is. Best Jet Journey, welcome to the chat. We're about ready to go, but Tinker's wife, to answer your question, we had a chemical plant. It's a place where they make cutting oil and grease and petrochemicals, and it caught fire 2 days ago and burned for I think it was 36 hours was the total that they said it was actually burning. We're about 30 miles away, and we could see the glow of the flames in the evening, and we could see the smoke heavy both days. So Joe says it's raining there too. Well, that's good. Yeah, we got a little bit of rain, and it looks like it's still raining. It's not a heavy rain, and it's not real windy out, so it should be good for us. I'd like if it could rain all night today and then stop sometime in the morning. I took tomorrow off so that I could be in the garden. I'll have Saturday and Sunday off too, but there's plenty of things I can do. So well, so John says, hope you pick 6 good jurors. And I warn you again, if you lose the trial, I will light you up, sir. Messing with the marshal is not a wise move. Good luck. John, I picked 12 jurors, and I know one of them is not part of Shed Wars, but there's nothing in the law book that says that they have to be in Shed Wars. And so, John, I stand by my 12 jurors. I stand by my witnesses. And you won't get a chance to light me up because Funky will win. Homestead Aquarius, you did make it back in time to say goodbye. I am going to say goodbye. Believe it or not, I'm gonna turn in about 20 minutes. I've got an early one tomorrow, so. Emitzer Shem, I'll see you again. I'm Chicken Johnny. Eat your vegetables and brush your teeth. We'll see you next time. Hey, take care of yourself.